By the time the vending machines hummed themselves into that half-lit night mode, the cafeteria had emptied out completely, and I sat there alone with a cup of coffee I didn't even want, just to have something to hold. It was past 2, the tail end of a shift that had taken more out of me than usual, and I remember thinking how strange it was that a room built to hold 300 people at lunchtime could feel this hollow at night, like a stage after the play's over. I'd worked this hospital for 9 years. 9 years of 12-hour shifts, of holidays traded and reclaimed, of learning which supply closet had the good blankets and which elevator always stuck on 4. And for almost all of those 9 years, there had been Ben Alvarez, respiratory therapist, second floor mostly, though we crossed paths more than our schedules should have allowed. He had this laugh that carried down hallways it had no business reaching, and a habit of leaving a granola bar on my card on the nights he knew I'd skip dinner, never saying a word about it, just gone before I could catch him. I used to tell myself it didn't mean anything. Nurses look out for each other. That's the job. That's just what decent people do at 3 in the morning when everyone's running on fumes and vending machine coffee. I'd almost convinced myself of that, actually, until he walked into the cafeteria that night and sat down across from me without asking, like he had a standing reservation. "You look like you're about to fall asleep sitting up," he said. "I'm resting my eyes. It's a skill." Aha. He nudged his own cup toward the center of the table, like an offering. "You know, for 9 years I've been telling myself I'd say something eventually. Kept waiting for the right shift. Turns out there isn't one. They're all the same amount of exhausted. My stomach did something complicated." "Say what, exactly?" He looked at me for a second too long before he answered, and in that second I felt 9 years condense into something small and terrifying and entirely too late, or maybe exactly on time. I genuinely couldn't tell which, and I think that's the part one keep turning over even now. How do you know the difference between too late and right on time? I still don't have a good answer. "That I've had a thing for you since my second week here," he said. "And I kept not saying it because you were seeing someone, and then you weren't, and then I told myself it was unprofessional, and then I told myself I'd missed the window, and at some point someday just became the excuse I used instead of actually doing anything about it." I laughed, not because it was funny, but because I didn't know what else to do with my face. 9 years. 9 years, he agreed. "I've watched you hold people's hands through the worst nights of their lives and somehow still show up the next day like it costs you nothing, and it kills me a little every time, because I know it costs you everything. I just never had the nerve to say so." I thought about all the nights I'd driven home rehearsing conversations I never had. All the times I'd seen his name on the schedule and felt something lift in my chest that I refused to examine too closely, because examining it meant admitting I wanted something I wasn't sure I was allowed to want, not with the schedules and the shift trades and 100 quiet reasons to just keep things easy and professional. Is it worth the risk, wrecking something steady and comfortable for a chance at something more, when you've got years of proof the comfortable thing works fine on its own? I don't know that there's a right answer to that. I only know which way I went. "I used to save you the corner booth," I said. "When I got here before you." I told myself it was because the light's better over there. "It's not better over there." "No," I admitted. "It's really not." He smiled then, the real one, the one that used to undo me from across a nurse's station, and reached over and covered my hand with his, and it felt less like a beginning than like something that had already been true for years and was only now getting permission to be spoken out loud. We didn't kiss that night. It felt too big for a plastic table under buzzing fluorescent lights, too big for 2 people running on 4 hours of sleep and hospital coffee. What we did instead was sit there until the cafeteria staff came in to start the breakfast line, talking about nothing and everything. 9 years of almost finally getting to be something else. I still think about how close I came to never knowing. How easily that night could have gone the way every other night had gone, a nod, a tired smile, separate cars in a dark parking lot. I wonder sometimes how many people are out there right now, sitting across a table from someone, letting the moment pass because it feels safer than saying the thing. I used to be one of them. I'm glad, for once, I wasn't.